Hey, my name is Best Bet Dan. Listen, it's not what you know, but who you know. Now listen, parents, adults, I know you guys have heard that probably 1,000 times, but here's the reality. Our kids, our teenagers, they don't fully have the picture on what that means quite yet. And that is exactly the purpose of this video, right? So is your teen or young person, are they ready to network at a high level? Now let's look at this for a second, right? So networking is not just about knowing names. And as I've, worked with young people for the last 3 years and really kind of, just dove into, hey, what do you guys know about networking? In a lot of cases, they know it's about connection, right? But they just kind of, you might go to a networking event, pass out business cards, get business cards, and they think it's about the initial meeting, right? But networking is so much more than that, right? And again, as adults, I'm talking to parents right now, I'm preaching to the choir. We know that networking is more about the value that you bring to the table and understanding the value that others bring to the table, and less about simply exchanging business cards and exchanging information and having friends on social networks, right? So I'm so passionate about really getting this information to parents because it can completely change the game for your young person. If you start and again, I don't care how old or how young they are, like today, there's no better time than today to really start to teach your young person how to intentionally build networks, right? Because there's the act of networking where you're, intentionally going out to meet new people, make connections, but then there's building a network, right? So as you're building a network, that really all depends on your character. It depends on your integrity. It depends on how you interact with people over time, right? So there's some people that, there's people I've met them and I didn't like them initially. I don't like this person. However, as we had opportunity to interact over time, I was able to see wow, this is someone that not only do I think very highly of, but I trust them. I trust their character. And I would call them if I needed their service. I would call them if I needed help on something. And I would hope that they would think the same about me, right? So building networks is about building relationships. And so again, working in this space with young people for the past 3 years, social media and technology is huge, but there is something to be said of the opportunities that come when you're face to face with people. And I don't think that our young people are capitalizing on those opportunities really what's the word I want? They're not capitalizing on those opportunities in the most efficient way. There we go. That's what I want to say. Okay. So what are essential networking skills, right? So first and foremost, many of your young people already have great soft skills. And I want to kind of stop here for a second because over the last, several years I've been working in this space, I get a lot of parents that say, oh, my kids are social. Oh, my kids, they talk to everyone. They're polite. They have great soft skills. Soft skills will help you to network, but soft skills are not networking. Let me say that one more time. Soft skills will help you to network, but soft skills are not networking, right? Soft skills are not a networking strategy. They are the things that, hey, being able to show empathy, being able to speak up and speak clearly, being able and just greeting people and being courteous and having manners, those all fall into the category of soft skills, right? So networking is, hey, you meet somebody today and you interact with them. It's number one, exchanging information and making sure, hey, do I have a way that I could reach out to this person, if I wanted to follow up with them, if I wanted to get together, to have a meeting where we could, share ideas, do I have a way to get in touch with them if I wanted to find out a little bit more about what they do? So there's a skill in being able to gather people's information and making that a habit to where you just don't let new connections that you meet kind of just slip away from you, right? And I've got a rule that, I use myself as an adult. If I go to connect with someone and I'm not able to get a way where I can directly reach out to them myself, in my mind, I did not make a connection. Does that make sense? So we want to, get our young people these thought processes, strategies and skills, because it's going to help them move forward in an exponential way. Okay, so gathering information, contact information, following up with people. Once you meet somebody, taking that second step, to schedule the next meeting, the next conversation, and thinking about that. Hey, you can never get everything on the first meeting, but what's going to happen on the second meeting, the third meeting, and the fourth meeting? So training young people to have skills where they're able to just, hey, how do I, keep this conversation going, right? And really having that perspective of, when you meet somebody, you're starting a conversation, and you're starting a conversation that really never ends, right? So following up and creating the next parts of those conversations. Okay. So I think about this from the standpoint of compounding interest. I'm not going to, I'm not going to stay here too long, but I want to drive this point home. For those of you that are adults, the power of compound interest. They call it the eighth wonder of the world. It's all about time. The power of compound interest, right? Putting your money in a place where it grows interest, it grows compound interest. The power is time. So if you have, an account started for, a 10-year-old, and you put, $5,000 in that account, from the time they're 10 to they're 20. So 10 years of investing, right? But now, or actual funding the account. Let me say that. So actually fund the account for 10 years, but that account, it starts when that child is 10 years old. Now you got the same child, but they wait until, let's say they're the same age, but they wait until they're 30 and they start investing, $10,000 a month in a compounding interest situation. The person who invested less, the first child who invested less, but did it 20 years prior, doesn't matter how much the person invests when they're 30, they can't catch up because compounding interest is about time. Okay. So the point being is that the sooner your young person knows how to network at a high level, the better. Because right now, if they don't know how to network on a high level, they're actually missing opportunities that they cannot get back. You can't rewind and say, oh, let me take advantage. No, you missed it. There are encounters, there are things happening where they have opportunities to step into destiny. But if they don't understand the skills of networking, they might be polite, they might have great soft skills, but they may miss a connection. And this isn't to create fear. It's simply to help you understand that in the day and age that we're living, right, you can't wait. The time of letting young people kind of flounder for a little bit to their mid to late 20s to figure stuff out, that luxury is going away. First, we were competing against each other, right? Competing against people. Then we're competing against machines. Now we're competing against people, machines, and artificial intelligence. Our young people have to compete better, faster. I say that one more time. Our young people must compete better, faster, and building networking skills as soon as possible is a phenomenal way to move them to that direction. Okay? So another huge skill in networking is the ability to listen, the ability to pay attention, the ability to not always be, hey, what can I do? And always saying talk. It's, hey, what's happening? What are people saying? And how can I use the information that I hear to make things happen? Right. So I'm trying to think of a good situation where, for me, I'm always listening. I literally, I'm always listening. I'm ear hustling. I think about sometimes I'm out and about and I, may see families talking and they might be talking about, next steps after college. And if it's, appropriate timing, sometimes I'll jump in, and I've created opportunities to help young people and build relationships because I'm listening. And even in conversation, are you listening to hear? Or are you listening to speak? So helping your young person really learn how to listen is going to be another way to help them to become a better networker. That skill, I can't tell you how valuable it is to be able to listen, if not only for the fact that when you are a good listener, people feel way more endeared to you. They trust you more. They value you more because we live in a society where not many people actually listen. Okay, so building rapport, another huge skill for networking, finding common interest, how good is your young person? Are they able to take people from stranger to friend in a quick and in an inintrusive manner, right? Do they know how to ask questions to get things going, right? What's their small talk game like? These are all things that contribute to being able to build a solid network. I think about a time when I was small talk with a gentleman that I met in the parking lot of a post office. We were talking about cars. He drove up in a BMW. I loved this car. It was a brand new 7 Series, one of my favorite cars. I mean, it was beautiful, pristine, blacked out, beautiful rims. And so, boom, we started talking about his car. You know, we had a conversation. It was small talk till he asked me about my hoodie. Hey, what is this logo all about? What is that? I'm intrigued by that. So I told him a little bit about what Best Bet was. And what's crazy is after following up for about 4 months, because I met him in the end of May, in September, we got together, we had a meeting. And from that meeting, he decided that he wanted to scholarship a student into Best Bet Skills Academy, right? But that began at small talk. That began at a compliment. So our young people understanding the power of small talk is major, right? So another skill, you know, small talk, okay? So what are opportunities and where are opportunities for your young people to network, okay? Number one, like, we have to teach our kids how to do school. Our kids leave so much opportunity on the table because they really don't know what's at their disposal at school. So think about this, right? You got a 16-year-old. Outside of you, outside of your friends, right, in your circle and family members, the teachers and coaches at school are pretty much their first real professional network. You guys with me on that? Does that make sense? Now watch this. In many cases, not all, but many cases, teachers are helpers. That's their personality. They want to see people win, right? So now you have a 16-year-old who goes to school every day and sees these teachers. And they do this, you know, for years, right? They meet these teachers. Most of your children do not, obviously they know their teachers are people, but they don't understand and they don't have a concept that they have a life outside of school. They don't understand that they have connections, that they have friends who own businesses, friends that they went to college with that, you know, work for pro sports teams. They're not thinking about this, right? Why aren't they thinking about this? Because we have a narrative in our society where, I'm going to use a word that your kids use, where the teachers are the ops, right? The opposition or the enemies. That is something that literally, like, it permeates our education system. It's us against them, students versus teachers, students versus faculty basketball game, right? It literally, it's like, and that should not be the case, because at the end of the day, those teachers are like your first network outside of your family and friends. One of my students, shout out to Edwin Spencer, is crushing it right now, playing some college football in his freshman year. Edwin, we were messaging one time, and it was during winter break, and he sent me this text, I can't wait to go back to school. I was like, wait, that's weird. Like, I don't hear that from teenagers. He's like, I can't wait to network with my teachers. I was doing that lesson in your course, and like, really, like, yo, the value that my teachers bring to the table and that they can provide is huge. And that was a game changer for him, being able to really start to build relationships, right? So school's huge opportunity. Their job's an opportunity. I actually wrote a course called How to Job. It's on my website, www.bestbetlife.com. You can check that out if you want to. But How to Job is all about leveraging your job and exploiting your job to give you more opportunities and create more value for you. Now, I use that word exploit on purpose because it's typically seen in a negative sense, but exploit simply means to use for your gain, right? Now, it could be in a negative way, it could be in a positive way, but in this way, it's positive. You think about these companies that are making multi-millions of dollars by hiring our teenagers and paying them minimum wage. I'm not mad at that. I'm not here to have that discussion. My discussion I do want to have is the fact that there's so much more value that your young people can get from those jobs. And so, again, more opportunities to network, okay? So then we got virtual, right? Because, you know, obviously we got real life going on. Then we got virtual, right? I remember when I was going to college, I was going to go to Palm Beach Atlantic. I did go to Palm Beach Atlantic. But I just had a thought like, man, maybe I could find a friend on campus before I get there. Now, I went in the middle of the year. So I was at MCC my first semester, and then I went to Palm Beach Atlantic in Florida for the spring semester. So I just had this thought like, let me go on MySpace. I'm dating myself, MySpace, and see who goes to the school. So I connected with this guy named Gary. We connected, we went back and forth. I told him, hey, I'm coming down. You know, I'm not gonna know a lot of people. It's mid-year. They're not doing, you know, the freshman stuff anymore. They do that for the fall semester. And Gary became one of my best friends down there. You know, Gary, he had a car. He was a local student. So if I needed rides, you know, he was always looking out for me. You know, he was also, he worked a full-time job as well as being in school. So Gary, you know, had a few dollars. I didn't. So if I, you know, needed food or ran out of money before my parents could send some, Gary was always looking out. But I used the internet to make that connection. Okay. And so encourage your young people to build relationships on social media, right? Encourage them to use social media to make connections that they maybe can't make or maintain in real life. And I go in a lot more detail on that inside my course. But either way, parents, here's what I'm going to tell you. Encourage your kids to network. If you're a great networker yourself, then you got to put them onto the game. You know, and I get it. In some cases, you know, your kids don't really want to hear from you. It's not that cool. Find them a coach. Find them somebody who will help them. Find them a mentor. It doesn't matter. I can help with that. Up to you. But either way, find them somebody who can help them to develop this skill. Okay. Encourage them to take new opportunities. Encourage them to meet new people. Show them how you network. Show them the different opportunities that you've gotten because you've been able to build a solid network. That will go so far because in a lot of cases, you know, obviously we know, you know, monkey see, monkey do, and we always look at that as a negative, but your kids are watching the good things that you do and show them how things work. And it's funny, a lot of times parents will say, well, yeah, my kid sees me do this all the time, but they don't know the ins and outs. Take them through the anatomy of a network situation for you. Don't let them just see it from the surface. Because I remember growing up, I saw things, you know, from the outside looking in just because I was, you know, present and I was getting it through osmosis. But in some ways, in many ways, I didn't understand the anatomy of what was happening. I didn't know all of the intricate pieces and logistics of what was going on. Bring your kids along. Bring them along. It is too competitive to settle. It's too competitive to not make sure that they have these type of skills. Okay. All right. So let's see. Support them. You know, they're gonna have networking opportunities that are amiss. They're gonna have, you know, times where they fall on their face. I remember I was actually out with a couple of my students that I work with in Best Bet Skills Academy, and we were doing fundraising for a scholarship for a student, and someone introduced themselves to me, and then I called them by the wrong name, and I did it emphatically, and they corrected me, and it was but you know what, it happens. That's life, you know. I was really glad that they were there to witness that, because it is what it is, you know. You just gotta, you know, get the egg off your face and move forward. So here's what I want to say. Boom. Help them understand what networking is, right? Get a little recap because I'm wrapping up. Help them understand what networking is. Help them to build skills that will make them good networkers, right? So we talked about listening. We talked about small talk. We talked about even just being strategic in how they think, right? Understanding that your teachers are people, right? Another thing you can do, again, support them. You can, you know, push them in a direction or push them into opportunities. You can show them how you network, right? If you're a networker already, these are all things you can do. If this is not your wheelhouse, if you're a super introvert yourself, but you got a kid that's like, man, you know, I feel like this could help my kid, but I'm not the person that could do it, find them a coach. Okay. And I'll tell you guys this, and this is kind of something I've been standing on. In many cases, not all, but in many cases, your young people need coaches more than they need professors. I'll say that one more time. In many cases, your young people need a coach more than they need a professor, someone that's going to be in the trenches and help them to get, understand, and execute concepts that can be used in the real world. Boom. That's the video for today. Hey, this is my first one like this. So parents, this content is for you guys. So let me know. Did you like it? Did you love it? Did you get something good from it? Make sure you drop it in the comments. If it's on Facebook, again, comment. You can follow my page, Best Bet Dan. If you're on YouTube, make sure to hit that subscribe button. That really means a ton. And also hit the like button. But yeah, you guys can follow me across all social at Best Bet Dan. And hey, I am partnering with you to help your young people develop the skills that will give them the best bet to create the life of their dreams. I'll see you next time. Peace.